The Zephyrian Council of Admirals stared at the holographic display in stunned silence. Admiral Vexthara's three eyes blinked in rapid succession, a sure sign of bewilderment among her species. The intercepted human communications data floated before them, translated into their native script, but somehow still incomprehensible. "Run the translation matrix again," she commanded, her voice carrying the authority of someone who had conquered 17 star systems. There must be an error. Lieutenant Cruval manipulated the holographic interface with his tentacles, cross-referencing the data through multiple linguistic algorithms. "Admiral, the translation is correct. The humans have indeed requisitioned their largest supercarrier, the USS Leviathan, for—" He paused, mandibles clicking nervously, "for what they term a bake-off competition." The silence that followed was broken only by the gentle hum of the warship's quantum processors. Admiral Zol Noir, a veteran of the Centauri campaign, leaned forward in his biomechanical chair. "Define bake-off, Lieutenant." "According to their cultural databases, it appears to be a competitive event where individuals create edible sustenance items using thermal processing techniques. Specifically, they seem to be competing to create the most aesthetically pleasing and flavorful cakes." Admiral Vexthara's central eye twitched. For 3 cycles, the Zephyrian Empire had been monitoring human military movements, preparing for what seemed an inevitable conflict. The USS Leviathan was humanity's crown jewel, a 10-kilometer-long dreadnought capable of housing 50,000 personnel and equipped with enough firepower to level a small moon. Its fusion reactors could power an entire planet, and its manufacturing bays could construct a fleet of destroyers within days. And they were using it to bake cakes. "Show me the vessel's current configuration," Vexthara ordered. The hologram shifted, displaying the Leviathan's internal structure. Where massive weapons systems should have been mounted, the humans had installed what their data identified as industrial-grade ovens. The primary hangar bay, designed to launch fighter squadrons, now housed elaborate cooking stations. The ammunition storage compartments had been converted into ingredient repositories, stocked with what the translation matrix identified as premium flour, Madagascar vanilla, and Belgian chocolate. "By the 7 moons of Xerion," whispered Admiral Zol Noir, "they've turned their most powerful warship into a kitchen." Lieutenant Cruval continued his report, his voice growing more incredulous with each detail. "The ship's artificial intelligence, normally tasked with tactical calculations and fleet coordination, has been reprogrammed to judge the aesthetic presentation of pastries. The medical bay has been converted into a food safety inspection center. And the fusion reactors." He paused, double-checking the data. "The fusion reactors are being used to power what they call molecular gastronomy equipment." The 3 admirals exchanged glances. In their culture, warships were sacred vessels, honored instruments of conquest and protection. The concept of converting such a magnificent machine of war into a culinary venue was beyond their comprehension. "What is their strategic objective?" Admiral Vexthara demanded. "Is this some form of psychological warfare? Are they attempting to demonstrate such confidence in their military superiority that they can afford to waste their most powerful asset on frivolity?" "Negative, Admiral. Our intelligence suggests this is genuinely recreational. The competition appears to be organized by their entertainment industry. The winner receives what they term bragging rights and a trophy shaped like a golden mixing bowl." Admiral Zol Noir's biomechanical arm whirred as he rubbed his temples. "Let me understand this correctly. The humans have taken a warship capable of annihilating our entire border fleet and are using it to compete over who can create the most superior dessert?" "That is correct, sir." The Admiral stared at the display showing the Leviathan in its current state. Thermal imaging revealed the heat signatures of hundreds of ovens operating simultaneously. External cameras captured human personnel in white uniforms moving purposefully through corridors that should have been filled with soldiers and weapons technicians. "What are the tactical implications?" Admiral Vex Thara asked, though her voice lacked its usual commanding edge. Lieutenant Crew Val manipulated the display to show defensive capabilities. The ship maintains its shield generators and basic defensive systems, but with most power diverted to culinary operations, its combat effectiveness is reduced by approximately 87%. However, he hesitated. "However what, Lieutenant?" "The humans have somehow improved the ship's efficiency by 14%. Apparently, their cooking operations have led to innovations in thermal management and resource allocation that have optimized other systems." Admiral Zolnoir laughed a sound like grinding metal that echoed through the bridge. "They accidentally improved their warship while trying to bake better cakes." "It appears so, sir." Admiral Vex Thara stood and walked to the viewport, gazing out at the stars that the Zephyrian Empire had conquered through superior firepower and tactical brilliance. For the first time in her military career, she felt genuinely confused about how to proceed. "Admiral," Lieutenant Cruval continued, "there's more. The competition is being broadcast across human space. Billions of their citizens are watching the event. They're treating it as entertainment, not a military demonstration. And their reaction to using a supercarrier for this purpose, they find it amusing." One popular comment, translated roughly, reads, "Only humans would use a dreadnought to make birthday cake." The three admirals contemplated this information. In Zephyrian culture, such an act would be considered either brilliant psychological warfare or complete insanity, but the humans seemed to view it as simply normal. "Recommendations?" Admiral Vex Thara asked finally. Perhaps Admiral Zolnoir suggested slowly, "We should reconsider our assessment of human military doctrine. Any species confident enough to convert their most powerful warship into a kitchen might possess strategic thinking beyond our current understanding." Or, Admiral Vex Thara replied, watching the Leviathan's running lights twinkle in the distance, "They might simply be the most unpredictable opponents we've ever encountered." She turned back to her officers. "Cancel the invasion plans. Any species this militarily illogical is too dangerous to fight. We have no tactical doctrine for opponents who turn weapons of mass destruction into baking equipment." "Yes, Admiral." As the Zephyrian fleet prepared to withdraw, none of them noticed the small human reconnaissance drone that had been recording their entire conversation. In a few hours, the footage would be uploaded to human social media with the caption, "Aliens cancel invasion because we used a supercarrier to host a baking show. Humans 1, logic 0. The USS Leviathan continued its mission, its crew blissfully unaware that their baking competition had just prevented an interstellar war.